just want to go over some of the aftermath from this weekend. There's no fights this weekend, no UFC card. There might be one or two boxing fights, but I had to recheck the schedule. But just to go over this weekend, we had the big main event in Qatar, Arman Tsarukyan versus Dan Hooker. Arman Tsarukyan gets the second round victory, calls out Ilia Topuria for the title shot. And Arman is still number one. He's still ranked number one in the lightweight division. After this weekend, Dan Hooker is still ranked number 6. That's where he was before. The only significant movement was Paddy the Baddy moves up to number 5, which I know people are like, the UFC just wants him to move up in rankings so that he can get the next title shot, but the UFC has nothing to do with the rankings. It's the journalists, the MMA journalists that do the rankings and all that. But Paddy's only beat, his last two were versus Michael Chandler and Michael Johnson, or Bobby King Green, sorry, not Michael Johnson. And both those guys, I believe, were outside the top 10. So for him to move up so significantly to number 5, I don't understand it. I can see business-wise that the UFC wants to make that fight because they both have huge followings. They're both from Europe. Of course, Ilia fighting out of Spain. He's Georgian, but he's fighting out of España. And then, of course, Paddy the Baddy from Liverpool, England. Huge following. He's always had a huge following, even since he was at Cage Warriors. That'd be a great fight. But with the new breaking news that Justin Gaethje has retired, we don't know if that's just off of frustration that he didn't get the shot, or he legitimately is retired. We don't know yet. But from all sources, Justin Gaethje, the highlight, is retired from today. But Arman is still the number 1. And either way, if they make the Arman fight or the Paddy the Baddy fight, honestly, I don't think either one has the tools to beat Ilia at 155. I know DC and Ariel and all these other guys, were saying that Arman's wrestling is just too good. And he is a big guy. He's strong. He always looks fit. He's always in shape. But let's not forget, Ilia has great boxing. Probably one of the best boxers in the UFC. But his background is wrestling and judo. So for Arman to be able to get in and get the grappling going, he's got to go to the buzzsaw of the hands of Ilia. Ilia has already shown and he's proven he can knock anyone out in both divisions, 45 and 55. Granted, Charles always gets dropped. He just got that chin. He gets dropped, but he's never out of a fight. And he put Charles out with one shot. Out cold, So Ilia is always a danger on the feet, always. And if you can get him to the ground, I don't even remember the last fight he actually got taken down. But Arman, his only 2 takedowns against Dan Hooker were because Dan Hooker did not even sprawl or fight the takedowns. He did a Dustin Poirier, jumped the guillotine both times and got taken down. If he would have sprawled or maybe even tried to go to a hard whizzer and kick like a judo throw off that hard whizzer, maybe he'd have had a better chance, but he never did. He jumped guillotine right away and made Arman's job easier to get the takedowns. And Arman finished the takedowns, was in the guillotine, rolled out both times into a full guard, and then had his way with Dan Hooker the whole time, first and second round. So for him to think, or for the people, the analysts, I'll call them the analysts, to think that he's going to just come in and just take down Ilia without getting caught with something coming in, I think that's just hopeful thinking. I think Ilia can spark anyone at 55. He's already proven he could spark everyone at 45. I just think Arman would have his hands full. I think Paddy would have his hands full. If Paddy can't close the distance, and Paddy is a huge 155er. If Paddy can't close the distance and get out on the leg or get to a body lock position on Ilia, it's only a matter of time before he runs into a straight right hand and gets KO'd. For both these guys, I truly believe that. Ilia is number 1. He was ranked number 1 pound for pound in the world until this weekend or last weekend when Islam won his second title. And rightfully so, they moved Islam up in the pound for pound rankings. But Ilya is still that motherfucker, man. Like, he is still that fucking beast. Like, until you prove me wrong, Ilya is still the man. You know, I know that he wants to move up to 170. He did an interview with the Spanish media, and he said, you know, I want to go to 170. I want to fight Ilya, but if not, I want to fight Paddy. It makes sense. You know, at the end of the day, the UFC is a business, and they both have huge followings. That looks like it's going to be the fight to make, even though I truly believe that Arman deserves the next shot. But, you know, Arman he doesn't have the swagger and the charisma that Paddy the Baddy has, you know, and that's just looking at it from a business aspect. He doesn't have that, what Paddy brings to the table. So I think the Paddy fight versus Ilya would be huge. I think Ilya wins by knockout. If Paddy can get it to the ground, it'd be real interesting. I would still take Ilya to win that fight. But I truly do believe that Arman deserves the next shot. But I just think in the business model that the UFC runs, I don't think he's going to get the next shot. I think he's going to have to wait patiently, just like Justin Gaethje. And, you know, hats off to Justin Gaethje. I know he felt like he got wronged by the company. And he said that he did favors, you know, stepping in to fight Max Holloway after he was already promised a title shot. Gets fucking dominated the whole fight and then gets knocked out, as we all saw at UFC 300 with that 1 second left, just getting clean sparked out. Yes, he stepped in on short notice and fought Rafael Fiziev, but he already beat Rafael Fiziev. You know, he already beat him. So it's hard to demand a title shot when you're coming off of a brutal knockout loss and then you beat a guy who you've already beat, you know. And that's what Paddy said, and I agree with that to a certain extent. But like I said, Arman, Paddy, either one, I believe it'd be a great fight for Ilya, especially starting the beginning of the year for the Paramount Plus streaming service. The first Paramount card is slated for the 24th, January 24th. I'm excited, and I'm crossing my fingers to see what gets announced. My birthday's the 28th, so I'll probably be going to Vegas as a birthday present to myself, and I cannot wait until that fight announcement gets made. The second topic I want to cover real quick is Islam finally gets back to Dagestan. He gets welcomed by all the media in Russia like a conquering king. They're asking him about Ian Machado Gary, asking him about Shavkat. He said that he wasn't surprised by Ian Machado Gary's performance. I mean, he had a great performance against Bilal Muhammad. He stopped every single takedown from Bilal. I think it was 7. Bilal went 0 for 7 on takedowns against Ian Gary. Ian Gary stopped every single one of them, and he made him pay after each one. I mean, Ian Machado Gary is a great talent, you know, and if he can get the Islam fight, that'll be another spark in the Ireland versus Dagestani rivalry, you know, that started with Conor McGregor and Khabib. And then, of course, Khabib's cousin Usman Nurmagomedov versus, oh, shit, what the fuck's his name? Damn, I can't remember. Walsh from PFL. So those were 2 great fights. This would be another 3rd fight in the rivalry between Dagestan and Ireland if it gets made. But, you know, Michael Morales has a claim. Carlos Prates has a claim for Islam next. But I honestly think that those guys, they're so good, but they're so young that the UFC would be doing them a disservice by throwing them in there with Islam. I think Islam is just a next level guy. And Michael Morales and Carlos Prates have not shown me that they cannot fight off that type of pressure. You know, Islam has another next level pressure, just like Khabib, except for Islam is more well-rounded on the feet. He closes distance better than Khabib. He's better out of the clinch. You know, Khabib always set everything up for the takedowns. You know, the little hands and the little strikes that he did throw was all for the takedowns, where Islam can beat you on the feet. He's got knockouts on the feet, and he can beat you in the clinch. And when he gets you to the ground, man, good luck. Good luck, because that guy is just, the pressure that they put on from the top position, man, these guys can't handle it. You saw on Jack Della Madalena's face. And Jack Della Maddalena was the reigning king at welterweight. And Teddy Atlas said it himself, whenever you become world champion, you automatically get 30% better. Just holding the title gives you 30% better as being a fighter because you have that confidence of being a world champion. And Islam beat all that confidence out of him. I mean, we saw it between the rounds. Jack Della looked like he was just being drained of any kind of confidence, anything in that fight. Like, he just got beat down mentally and physically. You know, physically, he didn't take a lot of punishment, but mentally, that will fuck you up as a fighter. And to want to throw Michael Morales, who's young, I believe he's like 25. Carlos Prates is not even 30 yet, I don't believe. To throw those guys in there against a fucking pound-for-pound #1 world-class champion in Islam Makhachev, I think they're just doing a detriment to them. You know, I think the UFC would just be doing them a huge disservice by letting them go in there and get absolutely dominated by a champion in Islam Makhachev. You know, Ian Machado Gary deserves it because he is ranked #1 and he just beat the former #1 who just was #2 because after Jack got beat, then he gets the #1 ranking. Islam had the #1 ranking because he was the former champ. But, you know, he handled Bilal with ease. I mean, there was a couple close calls where Bilal was throwing huge right hands, but Ian Machado Gary was never in danger in that fight, and he brought the fight to Bilal. So I think if anyone deserves a shot, it's Ian Machado Gary. I know Shavkat was the #1 contender, but he's been out for a year. You know, Ariel Helwani asked him on his show today, you know, if he got injured in the Machado Gary fight. He said he was already injured going in, and then after the fight, it just didn't get any better, so he had to have the surgery. So I think they'll bring Shavkat back, either give him Morales or give him Prates, and if he gets a win, then he'll get the next shot. But I think, as crazy as it sounds, I think it's either going to be Ian Machado Gary or Kamaru Usman. And Ian Machado Gary said it himself. He goes, Kamaru Usman's old, has no knees. He doesn't deserve to be in there. You know, I like Kamaru. And if anybody can get the job done against Islam, it's Kamaru. But maybe Kamaru 7 years ago. I don't know if he can do it now. You know, I know everyone's going to hang their hat on, oh, well, he fought Hamza 3 hard rounds, and if it had went 5, he probably could have got the win. Maybe, you know, maybe. It's all speculation. I mean, we don't know because it didn't go 5 rounds. So, we'll see. I mean, I would like to think that Kamaru would give Islam a good fight, but we don't know. I think Islam is still better in every aspect than Kamaru. But I think the Ian Machado Gary fight would be more interesting. I mean, I get the hype between Kamaru. He's the former welterweight champion, former #1 pound for pound. Islam is a welterweight champ now. He's #1 pound for pound. I can see it, them making it from a business aspect. But from a performance aspect, I'd like to see him fight Ian Machado Gary for his first title defense. You know, let Kamaru fight one of these guys. Let him give him Michael Morales. If he can get past Michael Morales, give Shavkat Carlos Prates, and then figure out whoever has the best performance, then give him Islam. But I think right now Ian Machado Gary deserves the fight against Islam. But yeah, man, welterweight is, there's no better problem to have than not knowing who's going to get the next shot, because everyone right there deserves a shot. I mean, like I said before, I don't know if I would feed the young guys to Islam just yet, but man, welterweight is on fire. It is on absolute fire. So that's my little just breakdown of the weekend. Like I said, there's no big UFC fights this weekend, no big boxing fights this weekend. So I'll probably come on Friday after Thanksgiving, shoot on whatever news breaks before then. But I hope everyone enjoys your holiday weekend. You know, spend time with your family, eat some good food. And last but not least, how about them Cowboys? How about them Cowboys? And we're playing again on Thanksgiving, so maybe I'll update that. But thank you guys for tuning into the live. Hit the like, hit the subscribe, share with everyone that you know that loves combat sports. Now we'll see you on the next one. Peace.